Riders, welcome back to the channel. And today we've got a special guest, Rich Drew from America. The other day on the downtime, I've been going through loads of videos and I saw Rich had recently ridden the Giant Rain. And look, I watched this video and I was kind of expecting not so much from it, to be honest. But man, Drew can ride. And I sent him an email on Instagram and we thought, why not have a Zoom meeting about it. So this is our first Zoom meeting. We might look like amateurs, but let's give it a go.
We're
Andrew,
trying.
welcome to the channel, buddy.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it, man. It was the same on my end. I was, YouTube pops these videos up that you should watch, and it popped yours up, and I'm like, man, that looks cool. The thumbnail got me, dude. It did its job. So I clicked on it, and I'm like, dude, this guy's got some personality. And then I was thinking, man, he can actually ride pretty well. So yeah, it was cool. I did a little research, and then that's when I sent you that message and dropped a comment and just said, hey, dude, this is rad. I dig it. So I'm glad we're sitting here doing this. It's
perfect. Cool. Definitely. So what's been going on your end with the COVID? Have you guys been shut down? How's it been going there?
Yeah, it's interesting where we're at here in Bentonville, Arkansas. We're very much in the center of the country, and it's a unique place because the population numbers are fairly low, but being the home of Walmart, you have a very eclectic mix of people. So it's people from all over the world that need to come in and out of here. Mm-hmm. We've been very lucky from what I can see where it hasn't impacted us very badly. Of course, we've had to shut down, which has been rough on a lot of the small businesses here, but I think as a community, everybody's really rallied around. We've been able to get outdoors a decent amount. So we have an amazing amount of trails. So we've been able to get out there. What they've done is,
oh, that's great.
They've given a little bit of leeway with people to make sure that the physical distancing is there, and it's been good to get outside. Be in nature and at least get outside, get some vitamin D. So yeah, we're making the best.
Oh, that's good. I just got back from Australia. I was in Australia for 3 months riding, seeing family and friends, and having my 40th birthday party. Just before,
happy birthday.
Thank you. Just before the lockdown. And yeah, the Australian government handled it very well. We were allowed to ride all day long. We were allowed to ride with one person, and obviously keep it safe. Don't go crazy because the hospitals don't need to see us at the moment. But now back in Spain, been back in quarantine for 2 weeks. My little Vino friend's been helping me through. Tomorrow's the first day I can go out and ride, and I'm pretty pumped. It's they're saying there's going to be rain, but I'm going to ride anyway. But we're only allowed to ride in the mornings from 8 till 10, and then from 8 till 10 in the evening. And we're not allowed to actually leave our suburb or district. And my district's not that big, so I have one little mountain to go to.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, I can ride, and it is better than a lot of people. So, and Spain has got hit very hard, but yeah, it is. And another question, because I've been getting into the podcasts and watching a lot of Netflix. And with everyone on the downtime, what have you got into? Any good suggestions?
Man, it's funny. I haven't. With everything going on our end, it's just been constant planning and forecasting and trying to get an idea of what's going to happen next. And so that's been difficult. Like for me, the Ride Series emtb skills clinics, that's my main thing. And we had to cancel all of our clinics when this happened. So it's been crazy because YouTube's just been feeding that. And we've gotten a ton of requests all over the country for more clinics, but we just don't know when and where we can do them next. So I've been dealing with that. I have a 4-year-old son that's just wide open. He's such a rad dude, but with my wife and I trying to deal with him, we're used to having him in school a few days a week. So that's been our entertainment. I don't have any time for anything else show wise. And, trying to get on the bike and get in the gym, in the garage and train. That's what I've been into, man. If I got into a wormhole of a podcast or a show, dude, it would suck me in and I'd be done.
Fair enough. Good answer. And so to the riders out there that haven't watched the Giant Rain video that Rich and I have done, well, Rich did his and I did mine in Australia. If anyone's thinking about buying this bike, this podcast or this interview is definitely worth watching, and definitely go back and watch the videos, because we both test the bike, and I'm pretty sure Rich is a better rider than me, but we both are pretty good riders. We can handle a bike, and I thought it'd be interesting just to get us both be better in the same room, but on the same line, and just have a chat about the bike. So do you want to pitch and catch with some questions? And
Definitely.
I think you've got some prepared, I've got some prepared, and we'll just have a chat about it.
Yeah, definitely. You let me pull mine up. You got some great ones, man. And it's funny because I think that I can see us going back and forth on your questions. So what I try to do is, I'm like, man, he asked them all. So let me see if I could come up with some. So yeah, you can you go ahead and start, because yours, like I said, are a little better.
Okay, so I'm going to read it from my little list here. So Rich, how long have you been riding for? And I definitely see some BMX in your style. So talk me through that.
Yeah, long time. So I was 42 in January. Started racing BMX when I was 5. So I have a brother that's 7 years older than me. We grew up in Southern California. So the one constant in my life has been bikes. I've been on bikes forever. And I raced BMX for a long time. Then we raced motocross, and then got into mountain bikes a little bit. And then I started racing BMX again when I turned 19. So in the States, 1927 expert, super stacked class. So I raced that. Yeah, I raced that for a few years and just had a ton of fun with that. And then, late 2013, early 2014 is when I just decided on a whim to start racing mountain bikes. So it was a very quick thing. And I did my first cross country race, and then 6 months later did my first pro cross country race. And so it was kind of, people didn't quite understand that. And they said, how do you go from riding a bike 6 months ago to riding a pro race? And I said, I've been on a bike my whole life. Exactly. I know how to ride a bike pretty well. The fitness piece, now that's what took me 6 months to get.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Oh,
I've been on the bike for a long time.
You're looking pretty good for 42. Definitely. It's
I'm trying, man. Yeah. It's you gotta work at it a little bit. It's a little bit of the wine, a little bit of good food, and then monitor that and get outside in the sun, man. I've been trying.
Yeah, the e-bike, I've put on a few kilos with the e-bike, but it's an addiction, these bikes. They're a lot of fun.
Man, it's crazy. The ones, and I'm very early in the e-bike game. And that's, for me, that's what I want to get a little bit from you is, why e-bikes? Like, I was always curious, and I just thought, it never worked out. And I finally got one, and it was the Trance. I rode the giant Trance for 90 minutes, very little bit of time. And then I got the Rain, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I had a blast, and I worked harder. I was working harder on that than I was on my analog bikes or acoustic bikes. I don't know what the term is now.
Yeah, totally. Or for me, like, I got some mates in Australia, and we're all getting a bit older, and they've got some kids, and Australia is very well set up, and probably America the same. But there's bike shops in Australia that say, "Hey, take an e-bike for a day, and we know you're gonna buy one because they're so good." And so we went and took 3 E160s Maritas out about a year and a half ago. I bought one, my mate bought one, and my other mate broke his arm. So so he didn't buy one, and he's still thinking about buying one. But I was never really keen, and then I got on the E160 and just loved it. For me, that's like, that bike was ahead of its time and still one of the greatest e-bikes on the market.
That's another one of my questions is which one is your favorite? So it's one of them.
In 2017, it was a different story. It would have been the E160 for sure. But now in 2020, man, we've got the Decoy, which I'm riding, We've also got the Canevo, which is a good bike. We've got the Libo, it's a great bike. You got some German. You got the new Canyon. What's the Canyon? Well, there's two new Canyons out, and I reckon we're getting another Canyon, a big boy. There's the propane Cano. Look, for me, if I was buying a bike again right now and I had my money back, I probably wouldn't get the Decoy. Probably only because of the battery, because they have a specific YT battery, and that limits me from traveling with that bike and renting a Shimano or a Bosch motor. From, say, if I come and see you, I bring my bike and then I can source a battery in the States. But the YT is a little bit different. You need to buy it off them or that. Yeah. So I would probably go a Commensal. I'd probably go the Commensal SX, which is a 26. You'd like it. It's 180, 170, big boy, big bike. And I kind of like the e-bikes. I kind of think e-bikes are big enough and heavy enough. I don't think you need to put a 29 wheel on it. And they do lose their playfulness. So I like a small bike. I've changed my Decoy to a 27 front and back, and I've lifted the front to a 180, and it flies, man. It's a fun bike to ride.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So with that bike, where are you normally riding? Like, are your trails fairly downhill oriented that you're on that bike?
Look, I ride everywhere. Madrid is probably one of the best kept secrets. Do you know Brian Kennedy? You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was in Madrid a couple of months ago. He's been to Madrid a few times, and he loves Madrid. He's like, if there's one place you could live, would be Madrid, because the trail network's massive. It's all kind of illegal. We're not allowed to do any trail building at all. But yeah, the trails that I ride, if you check out, if the viewers want to check out some of the videos, it's anything from super hard, rocky, steep techie to open bike park to long, flowy single trails. Madrid's got everything.
So is Ainsa somewhere in there?
Ainsa is about 5 hours towards Lake Andorra. Up towards the Pyrenees. Well, it is in the Pyrenees. Ainsa everyone knows about because it's an EWS series. But there's a little place next to it called Pure Pyrenees. And that place is out of control. I rode there.
I rode there. My brother was there.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, my brother was there recently, and he said that whole zone is just out of control. Incredible.
You can ride there. You could ride there for a week and not ride the same trail twice. Yeah, amazing. So, question for you: how long you been on YouTube for, and is this your full-time gig or your side hustle, or what's the?
So great question. December of last year, I knew almost nothing about YouTube. I really didn't get into much YouTube at all. I mean, I knew it was there. I knew it was a big thing. I'd seen YouTubers at some of the festivals I've been to, but I hooked up with a guy named Brock Wagner, really cool dude around here, production guy. He was an agency guy, and he's just super passionate about riding bikes, and he wanted to do some things around Bentonville. And he said, man, let's make a few videos. And I said, why not? And he said, man, you could probably do pretty good in the YouTube space. And it's just one of those things. I never thought about it. And he said, let me make some videos and we'll see what happens. And I said, sure, whatever, dude. I'll sit in front of the camera. I'll ride my bike. I can do that. And we did a few of them, and they worked. I think it's more his production value than whatever I was doing or saying in front of the camera. But it just worked. They resonated with people. And so we decided, let's do some more.
Yeah,
in the ride series. It's the ride series. Those clinics are what I do, and I can't reach everybody in person with those. So my thought was, let's do some how-tos, and that'll help kind of fill that void and maybe give people some of those basics. you know, I'm okay saying I watched some of these how-tos and I came back to some of these people are saying to do things that I don't do, and I'm a pretty decent rider. So maybe let me try to give my explanation and my
Yeah.
rationale, and maybe it'll help some people. And man, I did a video on drops, and dude, it was violent. Like some of the vitriol I got in the comments was out of control, and I quickly learned. So YouTube went from being just kind of on a whim, a part-time thing, to something that I'm really diving into a lot more now. So we have a production company called Chain Drive Media, and we're actually creating a lot more content than just what's on my YouTube channel. So it's definitely becoming a lot more full time along with the ride series.
Yeah, no, I obviously checked out your channel when I saw, I mean, what stood out to me straight away when I was looking at the rain video was how you explain things very well and very clearly, which is not easy to do at all. And the quality of the footage was great. You know, like you had different angles and the sound was good, editing was good, you know. So
That's funny. So that what's cool to hear about that is I did that one. So that's not even our high level one. So the how to's are the good equipment, and that's where Brock does a lot of that editing. So I've been trying to kind of fill the gap because those are expensive productions and it's hard to
yeah,
put
yeah.
those out every week. So yeah, I've been playing around with it. We're getting some more equipment and I'm getting a little bit better with the editing and
Oh, that's
the
good.
sound. I just got some cool mics, some ceremonic mics, and we're trying to make sure the sound is good. Like we talked about, the sound has to be there. The video can be not quite as good, but we want to get the sound there. And again, the explanation piece, like, you know, for me, I'm very new to e-bikes, but I got a taste of one and I thought, you know, they're really cool. Like the idea, the premise is great. And I did that Trance review. I knew somebody at Giant and was able to get that rain.
Mm.
And, you know, where I'm at here, I can leave my garage and there's 150 miles of soft surface trail that I can go ride from my garage. And so if you think about it, what better thing to have than an e-bike
Oh
to
yeah,
go experience more of that?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so for me, that I thought about that more and more. And as I rode it, I realized this can be for everybody. An e-bike is not limited to any one person, genre, anything. Anybody can
nah,
ride it, and I think anybody can enjoy it. And it's different. So my thing is I want to explain my experience on the bike. I want to tell you what I thought about it, how much fun I had on it, and if that resonates with you, awesome. And if it doesn't, that's cool.
yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I think the same with the e-bikes. What I love about e-bikes is, you know, people that are very experienced can ride an e-bike and have a great time. And also I can go for a ride with my wife or my dad and we
Yeah,
can still enjoy the time together because, you know, we're not waiting for each other and, you know, she doesn't feel bad because, you know, she's at a different speed. Obviously she would be.
yeah,
And, you know, it's a, I think we are going through a mountain bike revolution right now. I would say within 5 years, every person is going to be riding e-bikes of some type. I don't know, you know, we're going to have the lighter ones, we're going to have the ones that batteries pull out. But at the moment, I just did a video on my mate who has two bikes. He has the Libo and he has the Mega Tower. I mean, you're talking
okay.
about $36,000 worth of bikes there. You know, that's I think I want to see it come together.
Does well, and it's interesting because that was one of my questions for you is, you know, and you've answered it is, you know, why e-bikes? But I think also for me it's what's the take on e-bikes where you've been? Is there negativity? If so, what's the balance of negative versus positive? And then also, I think as far as a user goes, are you limited anywhere?
Yeah, good questions. Basically, when I bought my e-bike about a year ago now, a lot of my riding friends in Spain were giving me crap about it,
Oh yeah.
and they said, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And if I'm 100% honest, the reason why I did buy my e-bike for the first time, my first e-bike, is because I really enjoyed it, and I also saw the massive potential of these bikes as far as developing more riding skills and also maybe developing a business out of it, because I think we are going through a revolution. So that's why. And it's funny, my friends are between 30 and 50 and they're all very good riders. We ride in a pretty good group, and I'm probably one of the worst out in the group. They're all like ex-pro riders.
Wow, dude, that's a stacked group. That sounds fun.
They are awesome riders. And a lot of them work at Specialized and the big bike companies here. And, you know, they're good riders, ex-pros. And it's funny, we have a WhatsApp group, and everyone's giving me shit on the WhatsApp group. And then the private messages start coming through. Hey, what do you think of it? Is it any good?
Yeah, of course.
So,
of course.
On the algorithms on Facebook, on YouTube, when I started, it was about the average age was 35 to 50. Now that average age is coming down to about it's not. The average age is still about 35, but I'm getting viewers from 20 to 30. That's now about 40%, 30% of my viewers.
Yeah.
So that age bracket's coming down.
Yeah.
And
well, I think that's exactly why I started doing it. I'm in the same boat as you. I saw an opportunity. You know, the way I looked at it is the YouTube channel is here to provide value to people. And I quickly realized that e-bikes are part of that equation.
Totally.
There's a lot of people that want to ride them. And, you know, there's this underground fringe of people that they're really into it, but they're scared to come out of the shadows because they feel they're going to get they're going to get hit with some of those comments from friends or people in the community. And so the hope, I think, was, man, let me get out there and ride it, and maybe people will see, wow, he digs it and he can have fun. You know, for me, 95% of what I ride around here, I've ridden on the e-bike.
Oh yeah.
And it's amazing. I have no issues.
You said about what limits me. Nothing limits me on the e-bike. I can jump bigger stuff than I can normally jump. The bike has a lot of lead through speed. So you need to brake. You know, you really need to brake into jumps sometimes. You can overshoot jumps. E-bikes do not like landing overshot because you're 25 kilos and it hurts. And they don't like drops, you know, like big drops. But I'm not a fan of big drops anyway. Big drops just takes more balls than skill. And I don't like landing, you know, we're ex-bMX. I don't like landing without a landing. It hurts too much. So that's about it. Hey,
so,
what bike you riding at the moment? What's your go-to?
Oh man, you heard of a brand called DaVinci?
DaVinci, yeah.
Yeah, DaVinci,
I know them.
out of Canada. So they have an upper end trail bike, we'll call it, trail e-bike. It's called the DC.
Okay.
That's my choice. That's my choice right now. And you've made a couple comments that are really interesting to me, in that, you know, a 29-inch wheel on an e-bike, not necessarily needed. You know, I think riding style comes into play. Like for me, I'm down with smaller bikes. Like I have a DaVinci Django as well. It's a 120 rear, 140 front, you know, mild trail bike. And I love that bike. And from the BMX background, I can hit some big things on that bike. And, you know, the Rain was the first bike I really tested. First e-bike that I rode for a decent amount of time. And I rode it for a while and I loved it. But when I got on the DC, it was much more comfortable for me, I think, for a couple reasons. The 29-inch wheels had it sitting higher. So the low bottom bracket, low bottom of the Rain was an issue with me in a couple spots, and the head tube angle. So I loved the Rain, but then when I got on the DC, it fit me more as a rider, fit more my riding style and where I'm at. The Rain, dude, if I was in the mountains somewhere, if I was in Aspen, that shot right behind me, that Rain would be what I would want to be on. But around here, it was, after riding this DC, it was a little cumbersome in a lot of places. So that's something that I realized after I got off it.
Yeah, like, well, we're supposed to be talking about the rain, so we'll rein it in a little bit and talk about
Yes,
the
good
rain.
segue. Good
Um,
segue.
so for me, I spent 4 days on it. I rode the large, and I'm 183 centimeters. I found the size very good. I
Yep.
found it the most confident bike I've ridden. Full stop. I found it.
Yep.
I was very surprised. I normally like a short chainstay, and the reign's like 470, something ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't want to ride the bike. Like, good work to Will at Will Rides in Adelaide. He has a great e-bike shop. He said take out the rein because I'd just ridden the Canevo, and I was like, man, really? I don't like the look of that bike. I don't know. I don't like the
Yes. Yes. It's not a looker.
No, but I didn't, and also I go further. I'm a geek with the geometry. I like looking at the numbers, and I was like, those numbers don't really excite me that much. And then when I rode it, I hit. I rode it on the second day, and we're riding a pretty big place called Kangas in South Australia, and I hit these doubles on my video. The opening, I hadn't hit them before, and I had my mate following me from on his E160, and he's a good rider, and he was pushing me, and I was riding, and I was like, oh, he is getting some B-roll, and I just felt confident on it, and I just
Is that the
hit it.
one where he was just to the left of you and
Yeah,
you're jumping? Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, dude, that was big.
yeah. They were big doubles, and
Yeah.
he's a great rider. He's like, far out. I hardly ever hit those doubles. They're big. And I was like, oh, yeah, I just felt it. On that bike, I felt it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I say that the Giant Rain, what a bike. But yeah, you need to be in a big place, man. You're going to be, it's like driving a Ferrari down at 30 Ks an hour.
Yeah.
You're going to get bored.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, I had fun on it, and you could see in my video, I wasn't riding places where that bike could shine, but I still had fun. Anywhere it started to open up, I would get choked down by a turn here or there.
Mm.
But when I got it, I didn't know what was coming. And so they shipped it to a local bike shop, and I went down to pick it up. And when I saw that it was the 2, I was kind of bummed out, like, oh man, why are you guys going to give me the lowest spec build on this thing? And I was a little concerned, thinking, it's going to, suspension wise, it's just not going to have enough of a platform. How's it going to shift? Never once did I question that. Like, I initially thought, wow, dude, if the 2 level works this good for me, riding it as hard as I am, like, I wonder what Josh Carlson's feeling on that 0. Like,
Oh,
I can imagine that it's even that much better. And, I dug it. I had a really good time on it. And I think that, if you're in that setting where there's a decent mix, because I pedaled it a lot. Like, I went on a couple long, what I would call pure cross country rides.
mm.
And I had a good time. It worked well. It wasn't the most efficient. Again, it wasn't the most nimble, but man, I thought it was a good bike. How do you like the Yamaha motor, and I think Giant's software programming compared to maybe the Shimano? Because that's the only 2 I've ridden.
Okay, so very quick sort of. I've ridden the TQ motor, which is the big one for high bike with the 120 unimeters. I've
I've
ridden
heard
the
about that.
I've ridden the Libo, which has the Bros motor, and I've got the Shimano, and this had the Yamaha Giant software. Um, I was very impressed with the Giant Yamaha. They got it right. The only thing I didn't like about it is that nervous twitch at the start when you put the pressure down.
Yep.
And I actually rang the bike shop and I said, hey, look, I don't want to talk about this if it's not standard. Maybe something's wrong with the motor. And he said, no, that's normal. So, but you got used to it. But, especially like coming from BMX background, I'm very, very, I actually ride the e-bikes with my seat down a lot. And I
Yeah.
do put my foot on the pedals, and that annoyed me a little bit. But the torque, it's got more power
Yeah.
than the Shimano. and it's probably at the same decibel pitch as a Shimano, I reckon. So I would
Okay.
say the motor's good. I mean, it's got a, you're getting into a good bike at a good price. I mean, that Giant's a very good price.
I agree. Yeah, when I looked at it, I said, this is an incredible value. And it was funny because I got some people making comments about, dude, you should ride the Shimano. It's way better. You should ride the Bosch setup. It's way better. You know, I'm on the Shimano now and I like it. I think it's great. It's a little simpler with just the 3 modes, you know, the eco, the trail, the boost. But then I came back to, I liked having 5 options with the Giant. You know, the ergos of the controls and switching up and down, I thought were great. And I cycled through all 5 of those. And I liked that. I felt a pretty significant difference. Like the Shimano, the DaVinci that I'm on, there's a big jump between eco and trail, and then a massive jump from trail to boost. It's like the thing wants to loop out on me. And so I appreciated Giants, their programming on that.
Oh, that's interesting, because that was something that I didn't like that much. It was kind of for me, I like, you know, I normally sit in eco or trail, and then if I see something I like to, you know, if there's a little pinch climb I want to go up really fast, I'll just whack it into boost, and I'll get like a little, you know, shortcut going up a hill or whatever. And I found that I missed the spontaneity of that boost. Like I could just get into it really fast and just, you know, kind of put it into turbo.
Yeah,
And
I could see that. Did you
yeah,
try the auto mode at all?
I did. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, it's good if someone, but you know, like I ride like yourself pretty hard, and I like to know exactly how much power I'm getting through the bike. So
Yep.
if I'm coming out of a corner and I know that it's a 2 crank to that jump or to that drop, I want to know. I don't want the motor to decide how much torque it's going to give me. I want to decide myself. So, but I could see it would be a great thing for my dad or for my wife, or it has its benefits there, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in the same boat. I tried it, and I got on the phone with one of their engineers. He's actually their head trainer out here in the States. Really cool dude, and he walked me through a lot of their stuff. This guy Bill, and you know, they put a lot into it. There's a lot of programming. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of things like, you know, how quickly it responds to your inputs. It's faster than the blink of an eye. So there's a lot of thought that they put into it. And I appreciate auto mode for what it is. It's like you said, it's for very specific people in specific situations. The other thing I liked was the walk mode. Did you try that at all?
I didn't. No.
Yeah, dude. So for me, where I rode it, it was awesome. But there was one spot that's a really chunky line, a little bit off camber with some exposure, and there's some sharp rocks, and it was a little uncomfortable there because the bike would high center.
Yep.
And so that's where I use the walk mode. Rad. So cool. It walks the bike along at 2 miles an hour. So it made a big difference for me because, I mean, dude, that thing's heavy. So trying to push that thing around is not the most comfortable. So I appreciated that tech in that bike.
Definitely. Hey, how many e-bikes have you tested so far, and which has been your favorite?
It's tough to say, man. I'm going to have to say 2.5. And the reason I say half, the first one I rode was the Giant Trance. So the Trance E, and I rode that down at a bike park in Texas called Spider Mountain. And it was in the midst of testing a couple of other bikes, doing a trail overview. So, dude, I didn't even set it up. I took it from the rep. It had cheesy plastic flat pedals on it. I hopped on it with my Giro chambers with my cleats on.
Oh, no.
And just blasted that bike for 90 minutes. And I had so much fun. And we did a one ride bike breakdown on it, and we got some rad video. And dude, I loved it. And so I'm hoping to get that bike back soon to give it a longer term test and compare it to the Rain. Because what I would say is, for anybody who's not in an area where the Rain's like big prowess, downhill prowess is good, dude, I think that Trance E would be amazing. Because I think it really splits the difference. It's a little bit more maneuverable, but it's still pretty damn capable.
I agree definitely with what you're saying. You've got to you got to fit a person to an e-bike. Like there's no one
Yeah.
right bike. And I mean, I'm having a fair amount of people contacting me every day about, and like the questions are like, "Hey Sam, I really like your channel. What bike should I buy?" I was like, "Okay, what do you like riding? How tall are
Yeah.
you? Where do you normally ride? Um, you know, do you like a playful bike? Do you like a planted bike? You know, there's so many different things, and yeah, I would say for like probably like 70% of people, the rain's going to be too much.
Yeah.
But that's why Giant have the Trance. You know, like
Yeah.
you got to pick your weapons.
Yeah, I agree, man. And the only other one I've ridden besides those two is that DaVinci DC that I'm on
The
right
DaVinci
now.
DC, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, dude, it's a heck of a bike.
What's the
I
track
really, I really like it. It's, I think it's 150, 160,
on a
if I recall.
29er?
It is indeed a 29er. Yeah, it's a, it's a pretty interesting bike. The linkage in the rear is very reminiscent of the Wilson, and that's their
Okay.
downhill bike.
Yep.
So they try to strike a pretty good balance of like a solid trail bike, but you could blast the thing pretty hard. And I'm trying to get a one ride bike breakdown out on it soon.
I'll be
And
watching.
I hit some spicy stuff. There's nothing super gnarly out here, but I got this one little line that is just super fast and super tight, and very quick, like full enduro, hitting a couple jumps. And you got to like, there's one spot where you got to really pre-jump down the backside of something to land and then hit another double.
Yep.
And dude, I went through about 4 times on this bike, and each time I ratcheted it up even more. And so I've been on that, and it's been a fun bike. It's just, the Shimano motor is different, so it's interesting playing around with that. I can wheelie it and I can manual it, and I could not do that on the Rain. And I've been doing a little bit more like cross country type longer rides with it. And so I'm digging that. But right now, that's it. Now I can say I got some on the horizon, dude. I'm trying to get a couple of bikes. The Rocky Mountain.
Oh
So the
yeah, I want to
Rocky
try that.
Mountain Instinct. Yeah, dude, I'm really close to getting one of those, hopefully, because it's a beautiful bike, and that Dynam drive system seems very unique. Like I've heard some feedback from people basically saying it's kind of a happy medium. Like you don't get the boost and it just rips. Like you got to pedal to get it to do some more. So I
You're
want to
gonna
ride that.
you're gonna like it because I was in South Australia just before I left, and there was a guy. You know, I stop everyone when they're riding. If I see an interesting bike, I'll chase him down and have a
Yeah.
look. And he was on the new Rocky Mountain, and I was like, "Hey mate, can I have a ride?" And he was like, "Far out, no, not really." I said, "Oh, come on, 5 minutes," and I hopped on it, and it has so much torque, 110 newton-meters of torque,
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
you're gonna like it because, I mean, I rode it for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and it feels like a little BMX. Super short end,
Yes.
really,
Yeah.
really poppy, easy to manual. Really, it feels like a normal mountain bike.
Yeah. That's what I'm curious about. I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And that, I mean, of course, beyond that, I'm trying to get a Libo SL. You
Yep.
know, I've had people tell me how amazing that is, that it's a very different thing. And for here, it's almost like, dude, I can't imagine a more perfect bike than a Libo SL, because I can take it out and go do a 50-mile, like cool trail / cross country ride. And that thing's there the whole time. So yeah,
Totally.
yeah, I'm
Hey,
excited to get on more bikes. You know, I don't have a vast background on the e-bikes, but it's something that I love it. You know, I want to have one, and it's hard now because, dude, that's all I want to ride. Like I look at my other bikes and like, dude, I don't want to go ride that. I just, I want to go ride the e-bikes. But I think for me, there's a place for both of them, and I'm gonna keep riding as many as I can because you know, they're different. The 3 I've ridden are so vastly different. And I think that comes back to what you said about, dude, if you can ride a couple, then ride a couple and try to see what resonates with you. Like one of the questions you asked me was, would you buy a Rain, or who was the Rain for? Hell yeah, I'd buy a Rain. Like that is a rad bike. If I was somewhere where I was hitting some big downhill runs, I would love that bike. Like I'm thinking, man, I would have a blast if I was in Colorado, you know, if I was somewhere where it was a long climb up and then I was blasting down for a good 10, 15 minutes.
That's
I'd
the bike.
definitely buy that bike.
I mean, I tested the Canevo pretty much back to back, like 1 week apart, and I was surprised. But if I was going to battle, if I was going to have a race, I'd be going for the rain. The rain just gave me more confidence.
Interesting.
It just gave me more
Wow.
confidence. I really like that bike. Like it's
That's very counterintuitive that you would think the bike with the dual crown fork would be a
no,
little bit more confidence inspiring.
no,
That's crazy.
there's something about that. Like there's just something about that bike. The long chain stays. It just and the and I also found more, and I don't know why, but I had so much traction, so much
Yes,
traction.
I agree. Yeah, that's one thing that I found. And I think I tried to combine it with using the weight to your advantage. So when I got on it, my first thought was, dude, this thing's super heavy. But then what I did and what I try to do as a rider is whatever's not resonating with me about the bike, see if I can adapt a little bit to make it an advantage. And so I very quickly thought, okay, the weight is low in the bike. Let me really use that to drive this thing into the turns. And dude, yeah, it was really fun because you start to get more and more comfortable loading the bike, like coming in a little bit deeper and loading the bike harder mid turn, and then it just rips right out into the like a slingshot. So
Totally,
yeah, the
you can.
traction.
I started, like standing up in the turn. So
Oh
instead
yeah,
of coming down, I was sort of standing up and bringing my weight back over the bike because the
yeah,
bike wouldn't move. On a normal bike, you're here and you kind of can't go much. You can't go anywhere else. But yeah, I was blown away at the traction, and yeah, definitely for downhill.
yeah. The stability's out of control. I noticed that when I jumped on that DC, it did not feel as stable. It doesn't feel as long. You know, there's a trade-off there. The areas where I ripped it hard, I appreciated that stability. And I think there's something to be said for that. And it just comes back to, is that what you want as a rider? And I thought about it a lot, like, who is this bike for? I think it's definitely in the hands of somebody who's a confident, capable rider. That thing is an absolute weapon. Now, if you're a newer rider, it's interesting because it might be a little cumbersome for some of those new riders. But I also think that long wheelbase, that stability is going to be an advantage when you're starting. It's going to give you a little bit more confidence. So I think as a rider, that's all I would tell people is you need to really grow with that bike. You need to really understand what that bike's doing, where the advantages are, and adapt your style and take advantage of those things.
Oh, totally. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. Um, I would say, yeah, the bike is for a good rider that wants to do a lot of downhill, like a lot of hardcore downhill riding, and also the new rider or someone that maybe might be the slowest rider in their group, and wants to feel more confident at speed. That that wants to feel more stable on that bike, because it's definitely. I mean, it's my wife was riding it. We went out on a little ride, and there's this like little sort of technical pinch climb. It's quite rocky. It's kind of like this. She doesn't
Yeah,
ride bikes very often, and she just rode straight up it. I was just like, really? And
that's
she's like,
awesome.
oh no, it's fine. No, I was like, okay, good, good, good.
Yeah, that's for me, that's the next thing. I want to try to get my wife out on one. I haven't had the chance yet. She's fairly new. She's only been riding for about a year. So I think I'll get her out there on one pretty
You
soon.
know, the selling point when I bought the decoy in my mind. The reason why I went for the decoy is because it's, yeah, at the time it had the lowest standover height. So
Ah,
I went for the XL, and it had like a 705 standover height. And my rationale was, I'll buy it because it's my wife will ride it and we can go riding together. She's ridden it twice, and I basically sold all my other bikes because I don't ride anything else. It's
Yeah.
okay. Another question: what's the best and worst part about the rain?
Man, the worst part for me, I think, probably was the low the low bottom bracket, or the low bottom of the bike. There were a couple instances where the places that I would normally ride would get a little caught up, and it wasn't the end of the world, but that was something that I think was just a little bit of an issue. If I could change it, I would shorten it up. And that kind of bleeds into the head tube angle. Like if it was a little bit deeper, be half a degree, 3/4 of a degree, I would like it a little bit more. And again, that's a very personal thing. You know, you're like me, you're used to a BMX bike that's much steeper, and that's what we grew up riding. So I'm more comfortable with something that's a little bit steeper. I'll add a little bit more of my own stability.
Yeah,
So the length, the head tube angle, that was a little tough to deal with. But man, I just think how much confidence it inspired is by far the best thing. Like you get on that bike and it just whispers in your ear, just go, just let it loose and rip. And that's rad. Like I got on this thing and was like, wow. And I mean, in the video, as I was editing it, I was watching those clips, smiling, remembering how much fun I was having when I was riding it. So definitely the best thing. It's a fun bike, like a
yeah.
big bruiser that you just want to go blast things on.
I agree totally, totally. It's a, I mean, I think I didn't find the bottom bracket a problem at all. A lot of actually probably about 5 people asked me about that in the questions in YouTube.
Yeah.
But I want to say that the trails we were riding were more sort of jumpy and poppy, and there weren't really many steep rocky sections where it was dug out. So, you know, probably I just didn't encounter it at all. But saying that, yeah, I did get quite a few questions about that. And as far as the best things, confidence, man,
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing.
Have you gotten on any other e-bikes that made you feel that way instantly?
No, no.
Yeah.
I mean, there's you know, there's bikes where I I do fall in love with a lot of bikes. I'm a geek bike rider, and but there's some bikes you get on. Like the big bikes I've been on that I can. Um, I mean, it's, you know, we're talking, what is it, 170, 160 the rain.
Yeah.
It's not that big, but it gives you the feeling of it's like a 180. It feels bigger than, it feels like a big super enduro. It feels bigger than an enduro bike for me. And I
Yeah.
put it in the league of a Canevo and also the high bike enduro,
Yeah.
which is their big boy. And all three of those bikes, very confident going downhill, all weigh around 25 kilos. But there's something about the Giant that when you hop on it, you just feel at home. I warmed up to that bike very quickly and felt confidence very quickly.
Yeah.
And I didn't on the high bike, and I did on the Specialized. And I would have said the Specialized was my pick until getting on the rain. Like they are very similar, and they are like they're both going to be weapons going downhill. But yeah, the rain has something special about
Yeah.
just getting on it, and you just feel at home.
And it's easy too. Like you hit the button and go. And it was funny because when I first jumped on the DC, it was kicking a fault up. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. What's this fault? Nothing's happening. And I had to call the dealer and he said, yeah, when you initialize it, you can't be on the pedals.
Yeah,
So it has to initialize and you can't be giving any torque. So I said, okay, I get it, which is not a big deal at all. But you know, the Giant doesn't have that, dude. You hit the
no,
button and you just start
you're on.
ripping.
You're on. How did you find the build quality? Did you break anything?
No, I mean, I hammered that thing. I rode the hell out of it. And, you know, low level suspension, we'll call it mid-low level suspension. I had zero issues at all. The
Yep.
brakes worked well. You know, my hands were a little uncomfortable. I would probably change the bars and the grips, maybe. And that would be the only thing that I would change. I thought it was great. And again, it comes back to value. You know, it's hard to beat the value that Giant gives you. You know,
What does it cost in the States?
I think it's $5,200.
Fucking, that's cheap. That's seriously
Yeah.
cheap. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, and there's others like here, the model's a little bit different. Like you can buy some of the direct to consumer bikes a little bit cheaper. And so that's the thing that draws some of those people in. But you got to weigh that balance. Like if this bike, if I had a problem with it, dude, I roll it right down to Lewis and Clark here and drop it off to them and they get it handled. So I think there's something to be said for that. And I think that, you know, a video like this, my hope is that it comes across to somebody that they realize I can buy the level 2 build. I don't need to maybe spend a little bit more money for the 1 or go huge on the 0 because I need it. You don't need it. If you have the money to spend, awesome, but you don't need it. The spec on the 2, I think is great. And if you can break something on that bike, well done, because I certainly tried and I haven't yet.
I broke the wheels.
I can see that. Like,
Sorry,
yeah, I can
Will.
see that.
See, I broke the wheels and I broke the seat. Look, I I don't normally break wheels at all. Like I probably go through a set of wheels once a year, once every 2 years. And 4 days of riding, I was shocked at how many like big dents I put in those rims. I mean, for
Yeah.
me, the suspension platform great, frame great, everything else great. The wheels were too. I don't did. Maybe we had different wheels. Maybe they've changed them in the States, but they were the very fat, wide. I think they're race face. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what the wheels were, but I didn't. The only thing I would change out of that bike would be the wheels. And I agree. The 2 is an amazing bike. If you're going to ride it more than just bike park and lots of downhill, I'd go for the 1 because you can add some compression into the rear shock, because I found that
Yeah.
the bike bobbed a lot when I pedaled.
Yeah.
And you couldn't play around with compression with the 1. But apart from that, if you want to do more trail riding, I'd go for the 1. But the 2's amazing value for the price.
I agree. And the wheels, I mean, I'm trying to look it up right now to see what I don't think this bike had race face wheels. I'm trying to remember here what they had. They were pretty narrow. I did notice that. And of course, I think any bike, for the most part, I think the best upgrade is probably going to be a wheel set. And for me and that bike, I would definitely, I would add a wheel set, and having a little bit more adjustability in that shock would definitely be a benefit. So I agree that the 1 would be probably the better play. You could make the 2 work with another wheel set and then maybe
great.
tune the rear.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw a few volume spacers in the rear. But yeah, I didn't have any places out here where I could break wheels. It's all basically flow trail. There's very little rocks. So, I mean, there's spots where you can get there. I haven't had that bike there. And I ran it with a lot of air pressure just because it's heavy and I was ripping it.
What is your go-to pressure? What do you like?
So I'm not sure yet on the e-bike platform, but what I can tell you is on my other bikes, and this is going to sound crazy, I was running normally 28 pounds front and 30 rear. So I don't know where that comes across
what's
to
PSI?
bar, but yeah, 28 PSI and 30 PSI rear.
No, that's pretty good. I run what do I run? 28 at the back and 24, 25 at the front.
Okay, so now I've been running Cushcore for a little over a year.
Yeah.
I run 20 front, 25 rear.
No way.
Yeah, that shot right there behind me, racing in Aspen,
Yep.
25 psi front, 20 front, 25 rear.
Do you think that that slows down your rolling speed?
Nope.
And you just gain traction?
The traction is unfair.
And what about the washout on the high speed corners? Any roll?
No, because it ramps up. It's a massive volume reducer inside the tire. And so it
Okay.
ramps up so quickly. Yeah, dude, it's unbelievable how much more traction you get. And the other piece of it is it's another layer of suspension that you can tune a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. And I never would have thought of it that way, but my brother's a major geek about that stuff. And so he got them and he started running them. And then we did some testing before we did the BME. I ran the whole BME, had zero issues, never had a flat once until I hit something and blew up a wheel. And of course it went flat, but no, man, the Cushcore has been a game changer. And for me, my instant thought was, man, I need it on the e-bike because it's so much heavier. I think it'll make even that much more of an impact.
How do you find fitting the Cushcore?
Easy. If you watch their video, it's really easy. And what I do is I take them out of the box and I put them on the wheels and let them sit on the wheels for a couple days.
Yep.
And it makes it easy. If you open the tires up and throw the tires in the sun, it also makes it very easy. And then you just get a little squirt bottle with some dish soap and water, and that helps. And yeah, it's not bad. Like I'm to the point now where I can do it without any tire levers.
Hey, what tires are you running? What's your choice?
You know, I've been a Maxxis guy for a long time. The Minion DHF is my go-to. I love that tire. Like, give me a 2.5 Minion DHF EXO, maybe EXO plus, and I'm happy. I've been playing around with the Asa guy.
Yep.
I like to call it the Andre Agassi.
Yep.
Very cool tire. Macho, like it's a big tire, tons of traction. And I've been a fan of that one as well. But I would say DHF for me. Love it.
So you are running, so if you're running EXO, so you're running DHF front and back?
Yeah, I love the DHF front and back.
Yep.
The DHR, I don't know, just for some reason, it doesn't really resonate with me.
I run the same setup, but I run DH casing front and back, but no Cushcore. So I probably might change. Well, actually, I'm going to test some tires the next couple of months, and I'm going to run the Schwalbe Eddy Currents. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. That seems to be the one everybody's using on the e-bike.
So I'm actually my video is going to drop tomorrow. Schwalbe has been nice enough to send me some tires, so nice. I'm testing them, and I've just got a new set of wheels on order from Hope. And so I might go Cushcore as well to see the ultimate setup.
Yeah, I would love it, man. I'll as a matter of fact, let me see what I can do on my end and maybe get you a couple sets sent awesome. Out. Dan, the owner of Cushcore, is just a super rad dude, and the product it's incredible, man. I mean, it really is. It's I think what you'll find is you can go away from the DH casing and just run EXO or EXO plus. So you're going to get a little more compliance. It's going to set into the turn a little better.
Yep.
And I think that you'll see some major advantages.
And you're probably, because Cushcore is what, about 270 front and back grams?
I think, yeah, I've been running the XC, like the lightweight version.
Yep.
And I didn't really care about it. My thought was the weight I'm adding is nothing compared to the advantages that I'm getting. And here's my take on it. Here's how I'll describe it. I think a DH casing tire feels heavier, significantly heavier than an EXO or EXO plus with Cushcore.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was like, if we're running DH casing, then we're probably better off running Cushcore and then running EXO instead of just, Anyway, you're right. So. I'm going to try it. I'm going to definitely try it.
I think so. Yeah, I'm going to see what I can do. I'm talking with Dan right now, so I'm going to see if I can get. I mean, if Schwalbe's sending you tires, dude, Cushcore needs to send you a couple of units.
Oh yeah, these Schwalbes. Well, I'll see if I can get you some as well. Actually, I've got bloody 8 here. So, the guys at Schwabi are really good. Like these tires are weighing what's it, 1,300 grams. They're
Okay.
big tires. They're 2.6. They are quite reminiscent of a DH Minion, a DHF.
Nice.
They're quite similar. I would say the rubber compound is a little bit more tackier.
Ooh, all
I'd
right.
like to see how they're going to last, but I think they're going to.
Yeah,
I think they'll hold up. Schwabi's had in the last couple of years, a lot of people say that the tires are great, but they wear out too fast.
exactly what I was going to say. The few times I've been on Schwalbe's, they're incredible for like 2 or 3 rides, and then they're
Yeah.
they're dust.
So I reached out to them and just said, look, I want to do a long-term test, and they need to really change the sort of marketing on that side. Like people think that, but they've actually said they've changed the rubber compound. So let's see. I don't know, but
I'm excited to hear your feedback on
I've got
that because
you got some Hope wheels on DT Swiss Freeride 560 rims. So it's a nice setup, and that's coming pretty soon, but nowhere to test at the moment. So little
yeah, that's a
downhills.
bummer. As far as trails, when you go to Australia, where are you from there? Where do you go in Australia? Where do you ride?
So Australia is obviously massive.
Oh
Australia,
yeah.
the same size as America, with 25 million people. And I live in South Australia, the home of. I don't know if do you follow BMX anymore at all? Are you watching any of that, or you're completely out?
No, I catch a little bit of it on Instagram
Yeah.
because it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, well, like probably the 2 or 3 best World Cup BMX races are from Adelaide, and we have an amazing set of there's 6 different tracks in Adelaide, and they're amazing. And Adelaide's kind of like a riding city. There's lots of there's no big mountains, but there's lots of places to ride, and the government's really good. They build tracks. The road cycling is amazing. It's a great spot. But going anywhere else in Australia is a mission. It's like 12 hours in a car to get anywhere decent. So most people just stay locally and then go and do one trip a year, maybe Europe, maybe Canada, because, unfortunately, it's like 12, 15-hour drive to go to somewhere that's okay, and then you can hop on a plane for 20 hours and you can go somewhere awesome. So it's
somewhere awesome. Where's the best place you've been to ride?
Best place I have ridden, I would say Finale Ligure in Italy.
Yeah, it's not too bad, huh? Yeah, that looks amazing.
But it's not, the riding itself is not the best riding I've done. It's the community. It's like everyone rides. Everywhere you go is set about riding. It's kind of like going to the Swiss Alps for skiing. It's like, it's really everything's. We went to this little. I think it's the.
I wouldn't know. I haven't been to the Swiss Alps to ski
No,
yet.
either have I, to be honest. But it's what you imagine it would be. Like we went to this campsite and we were camping in our camper van, and so everyone's camping down the bottom, and it's kind of a bit hippie. And then up the top, they've got this beautiful sort of like 5-star restaurant and pool area. So you're a hippie in the daytime, and then the evening you come up and have some beers and have a swim. It's just a really nice lifestyle. So I definitely have to go back to Finale. And what about yourself? That's a great question.
Whistler is rad. I went to Whistler a few years ago and it was pretty cool. I wish I would have ridden more outside of the park. And I think Whistler, just because it's Whistler, is amazing. Yep. But I think in the States, Big Sky, Montana. So we raced in Big Sky. It was the first BME they did last year. And dude, it was unbelievable. Like the trails were just super rad, like high speed, steep, chunky. And then they have some really just kick-ass jump lines. It was everything. Like it was such a diverse level of trail at that race that I love it, because there was enough for me, and I just smashed it. Like I've never had a race like that in my life. I think I won 5 of 6 stages, and
Jesus.
handily. And yeah,
Nice.
it was awesome because it just worked. Like it really played to my skill set. I was able to really focus on technique, and the spots where maybe I didn't ride as good as some of the other guys, when it opened up into the jump line stuff, I was just ripping. And it was cool, because I mean, I was just getting mid-run, just getting corked and whipped and just having a blast. And it really worked. And the town is great. They have a trail called Mountain to Meadow. So you go from the base of the ski resort and you ride all the way down. It's like a 6 or 7 mile trail down into the town, and then they shuttle you back up.
Oh,
So
dude.
my wife and I did that, and dude, it was a blast. The place is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I'm hoping that the BME happens again this year and that we can get back and ride there.
The BME, I'll have to write that down.
Big Mountain Enduro.
BME, Big Mountain Enduro, perfect. Hey, one more question. So back in the heyday, the BMX days, what was your favorite BMX bike you rode, and what was your best? Were you a world champion? Were you a junior champion? What was your best result?
I was never a champion of anything at BMX. I raced a decent amount and I had a lot of fun, and I was a good local expert rider, but we were into a lot of different things. We got really into motocross, and then I got into baseball and football. So I never spent the time going to the bigger races like
Yep.
I wanted. So it's a bummer. I wish I would have, because when people ask me what's the reason I can ride at the level I ride on a mountain bike, and I'm okay telling them all, it's BMX. Like racing BMX at a high level is an unfair advantage. And my son's 4, and I want to try to get him riding BMX as soon as possible, because when you learn how to jump a 20-inch BMX bike off a 20-foot double, dude, it's a lot easier to jump a mountain bike.
Oh,
And
man.
I think that's a big thing. And man, favorite bike, that's a tough one, dude. I had a lot, but when I got back in the game when I was 19, I built an S&M Holmes.
Oh, nice.
And that I raced that bike. So it was just a massive brute of a bike, but I loved it. It fit me, and it was fun. I still like to do some dirt jumping, and I wasn't racing to win. I was just racing to have fun and get in shape. So yeah, the S&M Holmes.
The S&M Holmes. I raced BMX in Spain a little bit. Well, I did until I broke my hip racing. Not a good idea. Yeah, I broke my hip and my foot, and no more BMX at the moment. But my coach just bought at 50. He just bought a standard 125R. You know that one?
I've seen those. Yeah, that's a cool company. They do some rad bikes.
Beautiful bike. Yeah, far out. BMX racing's changed so much now. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, it looks insane, and I still would like to get back into it. I, on a whim, bought somebody on Facebook. They had a Haro Black XXL.
Oh yeah.
And I bought that, so I have that sitting. So I have a pretty legit race bike sitting in my garage, and we have a couple Velo Solutions pump tracks out here. So every once in a while, I'll break it out and try to ride it. But man, talk about instability.
Oh.
It's like, dude, 20-inch wheels. I'm going, what is this? Am I on a skateboard?
I know it's. I agree with what you're saying about if you can ride a BMX, you can ride anything. Like it's such a good platform to start on. And a lot of my friends, a lot of mountain bikers ride really well, but they can't jump, and they don't really have a lot of confidence in trying that jumping, and it is very dangerous. And they're like, "How do I learn?" I said, "Look, take it easy and go to a BMX track with your mountain bike, and try and learn there, because you don't have trees to hit, you don't have rocks to hit. Just take it easy and learn slowly, because it is I mean, it's dangerous when you're learning to do it. Definitely.
It is, and it's difficult. You know, with the ride series, we tried to figure out how to provide that environment to teach people, and we've been able to do it pretty well. We have a ramp set up that we can slowly and incrementally move back, but the most difficult part, I think, for people is trying to get pop off of a takeoff.
Yep.
And it's with a full suspension bike, it's a little bit different. When you're used to doing that on a rigid 20-inch bike, your body inputs, they're key. You have to have them. You have to load in and you have to open your hips up and you have to keep driving your feet through as you're getting the front of the bike up. And it's harder to teach that to somebody on a full suspension bike. And you can't just do it on a hardtail because then it's out of balance because you got the fork. If you have, it's tough, man. It really is. It's jumping a bike.
Not an easy thing.
No, it's an art, and you need data. Like, you need the data jumping a bike. You need to have bad experiences to know what to do when bad things are happening. But the problem is, dude, that bad experience sometimes involves a tree. Yeah. And you got to hope you don't get hurt too badly.
Exactly. And also I was speaking to a mate the other day who it was years ago, he was trying to learn to jump. He's actually about to buy an e-bike. And I could see I was trying to teach him to do these doubles. And I was like, okay, look, this is how you do it. And I could see the fear in his eyes before he took off. And I was like, man, you are thinking about failure before you got to approach it with confidence. If you don't, it's not gonna work.
I agree, man. I agree. It's hard sometimes, but
definitely. What is the best thing you've bought for your mountain bike for under $200 in the last year?
Ooh, okay. Tough question. The SKS top cage. Have you seen this?
No.
Yes, dude. The SKS top cage. So it's a water bottle cage that has a Velcro mount.
Oh, nice.
So it's got this really cool rubber area where it sits on your top tube, and then you can Velcro it underneath. So you instantly add a second water bottle cage, or if the bike doesn't have it, like when we raced that picture right behind you, that's the Firebird, Pivot Firebird. It doesn't have a water bottle cage. So I'm able to put that SKS top cage on it.
Wow. That's amazing.
So that's a really good one, but another one called the Mule Mount, MUUL.
Mule Mount.
The Mule Mount. It is the coolest thing ever. It's this little black thing that goes on your handlebars, and it's magnetic. It's got a tire plug that sits in it. And so it Velcros on. It's really cool looking, and then you can just see the end of the tire plug sticking out. And you're literally, you get a flat, you pull it out, plug it, and you're good to go.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, dude, I've had it we did some prototyping, some testing for them, and I had it on my handlebars. So every time I would do POV, I would get people asking, dude, what is that thing? What is that on your handlebars?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So the last question, what would you recommend if someone is out there wanting to improve their riding, they've got a couple of $100 to spend, what's the best thing they can buy or do with that money?
Man, if you can get some quality coaching, I definitely think that's a great way to spend your money, because a lot of people come back to just go ride and you'll get better. The issue I have with that is if you're practicing bad technique, then all you're doing is getting better at that bad technique. So, do your due diligence and find somebody that can give quality instruction. Now, as far as bikes and components go, man, spend that couple $100 on a dropper. If you don't have a dropper post, that is an absolute must. So I think the dropper is a good one. And then I think you also got to think about safety in your gear. If you got a couple $100 to spend and your bike's pretty dialed and you have a dropper, I would say really look into helmet technology. Get yourself some good knee pads, elbow pads, and a helmet that is good. Like I'm a Cali Protectives athlete, and I can tell you, man, I've done way too much testing for them in regards to crash protection.
Yeah. So what's your go-to helmet?
Are good.
What's your
The
go-to?
Maya 2.0. So Cali has one called the Maya 2.0. It's $100 helmet, and their protection is called LDL, so low density layer.
Uh-huh.
And man, like I said, dude, I've tested it quite a bit, my brother and I, and they look good, they feel good, and they're not super bulky. So the
Okay.
problem now is a lot of these helmets are getting really big and thick,
Yep.
and this one's not. It sits good on my head. It's got some good protection down low, and it's got a long visor to cover my face. So I dig that. I dig
Nice.
the Strike knee pads. Like knee pads, everybody's got to have knee pads. I don't care
Oh
who
yeah.
you are. I don't care what kind of knee pads you get. Just get them.
Yeah. I just rode off my Bell Super DH. I had a big crash in Australia, and lucky to walk away from it actually. But it's done. Like MIPS is great, but it's expensive. You know, like these helmets are $400-500, and
Yeah.
you can only have one big crash on them, and they're done. Um,
Yep. But again, you look at it after that and think, okay, that $500 was worth it. Everything right in here is definitely
oh,
worth
and
that
totally. You
500
know,
bucks.
like when I used to race BMX with the old school helmets, I'd have similar crashes, and I'd get concussed. And now you
Oh
walk
yeah.
away from them, no worries.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy how much difference there is. And
there is a
now
lot of
there's so much
difference.
more velocity. Like some of those dudes have been having bad crashes on
Don't.
BMX bikes. And you got to wonder, man, if that was 10 years ago with those helmets, what would happen?
Yeah, I know, but you know, that's one thing that I say. It's a very good point. Like I say to everyone, like if your helmet's a couple of years old and you don't have MIPS, get MIPS. Don't worry about the
Yep.
tires or the brakes. Worry about that helmet. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm done, Rich.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. Riders, Rich has a ride series which is about coaching. He takes groups of riders out on the weekend. You can do private clinics, actual group clinics. All the information will be in the description below.
Yep.
And if you haven't checked out my video on the rain, Rich's video on the rain, check it out. You know, we both are pretty good riders, I think, and this bike's a killer bike. And Giant,
Yeah.
hope you like the video.
Yeah.
And Rich, you're a legend, mate. And I hope we get to ride at some point.
Definitely, dude. We have to do this again. I think I'm going to get more into the e-bikes, and I'd love to get back on, maybe cover a couple different bikes that you've ridden, and we can kind of bounce back around because I want to be an asset for people. And definitely, dude, I'm trying to put together a big e-bike shootout here in the Northwest Arkansas area, and I would love to have you come out and do some testing. It's all about testing. It's all about work, dude. No fun will be had.
None, definitely not. No. Sounds great. I'm up for some hard work. The
Yeah.
trails sound amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much. And riders, if you have any questions for Rich or myself, put them below. We will answer them. I'm pretty sure Rich answers every question. So do
I
I.
try. I try.
Good is good. And love from Spain. And we'll see you next time.